Welcome in, everybody, to Old Ways and Good Days. My name's Destiny. So we have a lot to catch up on. And I wanted to make sure that y'all were the first platform that I gave this news to. So life has been a little crazy for all of us, right? There's no getting out of it. We are always trying to see the positive in it. However, sometimes that's a little difficult. When you're dealing with some things that are fighting against your health as part of these little fights that you're dealing with in life, right? My husband is still working. Kids are doing great. Oldest finished her school for the year. All of that's great. So we're going to look at those as positives. However, some of the negatives that we have been looking at, we would love for you guys to pray with us on them. Any support like that would be fantastic. We moved into this apartment this past December of 2025. It is currently June of 2026, okay? We, oh my gosh, are so beyond thankful to have a place to live. What I'm not as thankful about is the fight. At first I thought they were great. We have a landlord and he works with a real estate company. At this current time, guys, y'all know I want to. You know I want to, but at this current time, I'm not going to be naming those names yet, only because part of our big reveal, I'm currently a witness in a case towards these people. So it is not my case. So I'm not going to speak their name or anything about their personal case. That's none of our concern, right? And I don't want to mess that up for them. So I am technically a witness in this case, only due to the fact that I have the same exact issues in my apartment. We have talked another renter here into showing up for the next court date as a witness as well. We have had 4 inspections in the last 2.5 months. It's been almost every 2 weeks that people have been in our home, which for me personally, that's one of my issues. I really love my safe space. My home is my safe, quiet space. And when I have strangers, city workers, no one actually doing any work except inspecting every 2 weeks, it becomes a lot for me, which is why I did have to take a minute. And I think that's good for everybody to just realize sometimes that, hey, I just need a minute. This is too much, and I like being positive, so I'm not going to share quite yet. But y'all, I'm more than elated to share with you what's been going on. As many of you know, we have been dealing with some issues in the apartment. When we first moved in, we had a leaky sink faucet. Like the piping underneath the sink was leaking onto our stuff. We got that fixed. They did great. They immediately came and fixed that. However, the heat doesn't work. It doesn't actually emit any heat from these little grates that are by the bottom. I will try my best to insert pictures where I can for y'all. I'm not the most tech savvy, but I will try my best for you. But when you plug the heater in to heat the house, because that heater does not work, you can't run the microwave. You can't run certain things. It will shut down all the power to half the house or half of the apartment. We've had it looked at. They said, oh, it's just because there's too many things wired here, but we're not going to redo it. Oh, okay. Immediately, bathtub drain doesn't lock. So the kids can't take a tub the first day we're here. However, when the landlord came to check this problem, when he came to fix the sink, we were told that the entire bathtub would have to be ripped out and removed. Which was a little confusing for me because we had just rented a fully renovated apartment. So at that moment, it was kind of just barely starting to trickle in that maybe things weren't renovated the way that they said they were. New bathroom counter and sink, yes. I don't believe anything else was replaced in there. We have had a huge, huge ongoing issue with black mold. We were promised when we did the walkthrough, we made it very, very clear. Was this going to be an issue for this building? Was mold going to be an issue? Because we've dealt with it before. It made our kids very, 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 very sick, guys, let alone the adults. But the kids, it hits so much faster. And the reason that it hits a child so much faster, those symptoms, the harder, heavier symptoms, is because children, especially 0 to 6, they are so close to the floor that all those not dust particles, all the mold spore particles, when they blow around, eventually they will land on said floor or objects near the floor. As most of you know, children, especially young boys, love to put things in their mouth. It is number one go-to. We try our very best to make sure they're not putting things in their mouth, to make sure that they're not licking walls or floors. Or y'all, if you have little boys, you already know, okay? If you don't, well, I hope you feel the love of a little boy one day, because it's so wonderful and so interesting. But it just, I have the windows open, like this big curtain, doors open. Mind you, I will spin you around real quick. This is one of our problems. Don't judge me. We have no screen door. None whatsoever. Like, we have the glass door. When we first moved in, we had a screen door. We went to go open it, the first sign of it's getting nice out, and it was shut. So we had to open it to get outside. It was not actually put into the tracks. It was completely bent, not in at all. And so when we went to go move it, it completely just fell forward out of the door. So we did immediately let them know that that had happened. I still have said screen. I just moved it to my garage about 2 weeks ago because it's been sitting on my back deck. Yes, they were supposed to come get it months ago. Let alone replace it. We still have yet to see that. Almost the entire time that I'm here, I have not had a screen door that I can use to keep bugs out. However, my other windows do have screens, and I leave those windows open all day. All day. The only time they get shut is if it rains and it's starting to spray inward. Like, if I feel that it's raining and I notice that it's coming in on the deck, which is about 4 feet out, then I will immediately go shut the windows because I know that it's going to get wetter, of course. However, I will insert everything that I can figure out. If not, I will make a video of just the clips of the photos for y'all after. I will do my best. If you guys didn't see it on here, please go try to catch it on whatever I'm posting it next. It'll be some sort of video with them if I can't get them put up here for y'all. But every mold, the master bedroom window, the children's bedroom window, the bathroom bedroom window, the front big window by the front door, all have mold all over it. I have cleaned with half and half vinegar water. We have purchased out of our own pocket, as well as one of you kind folks sending us mold killers, like industrial mold killers, and following the instructions, doing everything, and it still comes right back. It is relentless. And like I've told my husband, it has to be coming out of the walls. There's no way that it just keeps coming back this fast. When I'm spraying into the wall, the crack that's there, and it's still coming back, it has to be embedded in these walls. Well, come to find out that our upstairs neighbor, we had city inspectors here. We have seen inspectors here. Nothing with the big orange letters on the back that say inspector, like a city inspector. We had them this past time. And I asked him, I said, why are y'all here so much? Like, are they selling the building? And he said, yes, they're selling the building. So I don't know who is, I know we've had quite a few people looking. I don't know what that entails for us. I don't know if these people are going to take care of these issues the same way this landlord has. If they'll make it better, I don't know. I don't know. But my real issue is not just the mold, because had they come in and said, hey, we'll send somebody professional the next day or so. So had they just came and said that, it probably would have gone differently. But in turn, the real estate woman had decided to try to kind of play it off. She tried to brush it off and essentially tried to say that we never said things, or she never said things, or it was never brought up, when I kept my last phone. One of the reasons that I was so adamant about keeping said phone was so that I had all of the copy proof messages between them, my children's father, like anything and everything. That was one of my reasons. That and keeping all my photos. I didn't want to transfer to a new phone and then just immediately clog up that storage, because I do have a lot of photos and videos. However, I have copies of all of it. And I don't think they were expecting that. I have photos and videos from when we very first moved in. From when I cleaned it up. They said they had a cleaner in here. That was not the case. So I ended up, if you don't know, a little bit about me is I used to work in restoration, sanitation and restoration. So I'm familiar with what mold, things like that look like. And then they finally, upon a few argumentative emails, I had made it very clear that a professional needed to come out. They treated it with mold killer. Made statements such as, yep, the reason that would happen is because mold spores root in like a root. They basically essentially make roots into whatever to plant themselves there. And then the landlord comes, or the real estate lady that works with the landlord tries to tell me that they said it wasn't mold. Okay. Y'all, that right there flipped switches in my husband and I that we work really hard to make sure that they don't. But I was instantly very not happy. My husband did make sure, because somehow they were always coming for inspections and stuff on days that he worked. It was just me here. And they were trying to say things that weren't true, trying to make excuses. And so finally my husband took the day off for this last inspection where the lady had came in. We re-pointed out all things that were an issue. So I'm sure on one of my videos there is a spot where I mention when we first moved in, the first few months, we didn't have curtains, blankets, towels, nothing over the windows, and we didn't have beds yet. So I was making their bed every night and then folding it all up in the morning. Well, I very quickly came to learn that their bedding was always wet in the morning, and I would have to put it aside and go deal with it. And if you know anything about making a pallet this thick, like the size of a mattress, takes a lot of blankets. And they were constantly wet. We were coming to find out that the baseboards where they run to the floorboard, they were getting very wet. Like the entirety of the floor was getting wet, like not damp, wet. And I made sure to message her about it twice. And I was kind of brushed off, and we had just moved in, so I was kind of like, you know what, I'll just clean it up every morning. And that's what I did. I made sure to use bath towels and clean it up all the way to shove my nail under where like the floor and baseboard connect. Make sure to get all of that dampness out. We now have problems with the floor separating from the baseboard, like big gaps. And they want to they look almost like the way a chandelier has like loops on it, or like a wedding cake. That's what our floors look like. Pieces of the trim have just fallen off, like they were never even attached. We have so when you shut your door, there's normally a seal. So if you have the door part that shuts, there's a seal that runs all the way around your door, right? Ours, from the very beginning, the very top kind of hangs out. We just kind of put it back in. And then we had started to kind of mention that there's a huge gap in the front door. Like at the very bottom. You can see the daylight through our door. We've had issues with, when we first moved in, I saw a roach, just one, in the bathroom floor. I freaked out immediately, calling the landlord. They sent an exterminator. They asked us if we had bugs before we moved here. No, absolutely not. I'm not a bug person, guys. I don't do bugs. Bugs really freak me out. They give me the ick. Especially bugs like, oh, no, yep, ew. Pause. Sorry about that. Yeah, no. So the lady had asked if we had ever, and I was like, no, we don't do bugs. We didn't have bugs before we came here, nothing like that. And she's like, okay, awesome. Well, when the landlord himself came to come fix the leak under the sink and check to see how the exterminator did, he made a mention to me that the building had an infestation of roaches previous to them remodeling. At which point I fully, it hit me that, okay, yay. So we made sure to bomb ourselves multiple, like not ourselves, but like inside the apartment ourselves, and just remove ourselves for that time. We did this a couple of times after that, just because I don't do bugs. That's gross. Bugs are just not for me, guys. And then we started getting little tiny black ants, and then little tiny fire ants everywhere, and they just kind of seem to be appearing through the baseboards. Like, it was so interesting, it's hard to describe. And then they turned into, it's not just small ants, there's these, I would say they're about between my finger, like the skin about yay big. They look like regular ants, but they're gigantic and they have wings. Well, upon some research, because again, I don't do bugs, I had to figure out what this bug was. It is just an ant, except it is bigger and has wings because its job is to, basically it starts in the colony and its job is to spread and try to spread the colony. Try to find more homes where they can add, things like that. By the fourth time that an exterminator came, yes, I said fourth. 2 of the other times were for ants. This last time that they came, they essentially made it seem like bugs were just going to be a normal thing for us because of the way the house, like the apartment is, and that it was just normal. He seemed so calm, cool, and collected. I was like, no, absolutely not. He did also make the statement that more than likely, and I said about, what would you say that? He said about 98% likely that these ants, their colony, is under our building. And so that is why they're so prevalent here, because I have them. The people that share this wall with me, we actually know them. They have them. The man upstairs has them. And upon all of us getting together and communicating about all the issues that we were having in our apartment, because like I said, they are going to court against the landlord. So basically what they did is they were withholding rent. They're saying until these problems are fixed and this is cleanly, we're not handing it over to you. We want to pay you, but we want these issues fixed. Like, we're having health issues. Which leads me to mine. It has been put off so long. My children have been having health issues. My daughter has had upper respiratory infections that we have had 3 different rounds of different forms of amoxicillin to try to deal with. And it treats it at first, and then comes immediately right back towards the end of the cycle for the antibiotics and when they're coming off of it. However, my son can't be treated with the amoxicillin, the penicillin, none of it. My son, unfortunately, is allergic to all of the cillins, so amoxicillin, penicillin, things like that. He has a severe outbreak reaction to it, so he can't, unfortunately, have that. We had to ride his out, which is very hard for me as a mom. It does take a toll very quickly because my son has 2 congenital heart defects. If you're new here, my youngest has a small aortic valve and a heart murmur. If his heart, like when he starts running around, you'll notice if he starts to drip sweat, you have to make him stop, calm down, get his heart rate under control, that sort of thing. If he gets too freaked out, too panicky, and we can't get his heart under control, we do have to take further measures to kind of get him under control, because otherwise it could land him in the hospital. So things like upper respiratory infections, they put a lot of more work on his heart. I'm sorry. It's mentally, physically exhausting. My son has had a reaction. So far, just to be 100% transparent, we will be having allergy testing on him to clarify that it is the mold that he is reacting to. It's the only, if y'all know me, you know that my kids have food sensitivities. They essentially eat the same thing all the time. He hadn't had peanut butter, peanuts, peanut oil, strawberries, nothing, almost none of the food allergens from the top 8 or 10 group, something like that. No new lotions, body wash, soap, detergent, nothing like that. This is the only new reoccurring thing that it's continuing. We woke up one day and my son was covered from like here to here in a rash. We come to find out it was only the parts of him that were exposed to the air. It was the only part that didn't have long sleeves on or things like that. We waited. I treated with an antihistamine. It did not do much. Like children's Benadryl. It didn't do much. I just put the topical cream on him. The next day we woke up, it was worse. Gave him Benadryl, liquid children's Benadryl, and put the cream on. At that point, by the 3rd morning, I was calling family members because my husband was at work. I did inform him of what was going on. And we got my grandmother to come get us and take us to the urgent care so that he could be treated. He was beyond itchy, in a lot of pain. We did a lot of cold baths the first few days before we took him in. We were recommended to continue those cold baths, to add oatmeal. We did that. It did end up helping a little bit. They gave him steroids to combat what was going on with his skin. After about 5 days, it started to clear. And then at that point, red flags had already been going off. So many emails were sent to landlords requesting that things be looked at, things be dealt with. At which point, she again tried to reverse the story on me, and I did inform her. I do have transcripts from every conversation we've ever had. I have photos, I have videos from upon moving in. Like, as soon as we walked through that door, I recorded y'all a video. Moving anything in, I've recorded. I have recorded myself cleaning this apartment. I have recorded myself dealing with this mold. And treating it per her, the way she said to, after I told her everything that I've already done, the money out of my own pockets for industrial cleaners to clean it up, to which point she got on her phone and did a cursory Google search and said, oh, just treat it with half and half water vinegar. And I said, I've done that. And she said, do it again. So I took videos of me doing this, in which point the paint peeled off. When these mold people came, the restoration people, to treat this, they did tell me that these are not remodeled baseboards. These are just painted over. At which point brings us to a whole different question and issue. But back to the mold part. Then for her to come in and say that they said it wasn't mold, it really ticked me off. I'm not going to lie. We have our interaction with her coming into the apartment. The entire interaction was on video. My husband and I did both record it from 2 separate phones, 2 separate angles. She did record our home and did not notify us that she was recording. Mind you, we have small children that we don't allow to be recorded. So that was kind of bothersome. I get she was recording whatever issue she may say that she's recording. She didn't record coming into our home up until this point when we've had issues. And now I'm arguing with her, letting her know, hey, I have the proof for this. I have receipts. She is still continuing to try to fight us. We have had some issues, some other issues just with the property, partying, whatever, extremely late. The trash that's everywhere from different units, partying, things like that. We did have a recent party where they put a bounce house right outside our back door. That was not so great for our children. They did say that the children could play. We let them out there. My child ended up getting quite hurt. At which point we told him, you can't play on here while the big kids are out here. Go figure, the big kids were out there the rest of the night. So that was hard for them to see something that they couldn't play with, or see a bunch of kids that weren't very nice to them that they did want to play with. So that was hard for me as a mom, because I want to let them go play. I do. But when these kids are roundhouse kicking my kid in the shoulder, ripping them around by their arm, like, no. I don't want that hospital bill, guys. I'm just saying. So, to each parent their own, but I don't allow my kids to play like that, at least not at this age. So that was hard for them. That was really hard. Little bit annoying. We did have children throughout the entirety of the night coming and banging on our window. So when we were trying to enjoy peace and quiet, we ended up putting curtains up, everything, and we still had people banging on the window. That went till about midnight that night. That's not the only party we've had here. And not our parties. These are parties that people in the building have thrown, whatever, and we just kind of reap the repercussions. But like I told him, I'm not picking up the trash. I'm not going to pay a fine for this trash because it's not mine. I pick up this yard a lot. And the other day I ended up having to sweep the entirety of the parking lot just to be able to drive our vehicle because there was glass everywhere. Not exactly sure where it came from, but pretty much the entire parking lot was covered in glass. To which, essentially, I have sent an email of, we have a lease that's in the lease. These things aren't to be violated for a reason. We kind of thought that getting a newly renovated, with the lease that had all these quiet parameters, things like that, we kind of thought it was going to be more of a quiet space, and like we were told, that has not been the case at all. My hair, y'all, is starting to fall out from the stress. And at this point, as most of you know, I don't take antidepressants. No shame to anyone who does. I just didn't like the way it made me feel for so many years. And it's been a lot of years since I've been on them, over 5. And I would like to not have to go back on that. However, we can't break lease. We would have to pay the remainder of the months till December, which is a lot of money. Paying almost $2,000 a month is a lot. And to have all of these issues and to kind of feel lied to, or tricked, being told that this is definitely not newly renovated. When the guy came to fix the floor, he stated that the floor is doing this because they did not clean properly before laying floor. All of these little things, between the bugs, the damage, the health concerns. My son has woke up every morning with at least 3 bloody noses for the last 2 to 3 weeks. My son's never had a bloody nose, not even getting hit in the face. Like, he's had a ball to the face pretty good, no blood. And all of a sudden, he's waking up with bloody noses. It has been almost 3 months since I've lit a candle. I won't light one now, just because I don't know. And the problems are still continuing to get worse. I'm cleaning every single day to try to keep any and all spores off the floor, anything like that. Just trying to combat it all. And at this point, we, upon communicating with neighbors that are going to court, we are going to be their witness. Because the landlord is, the real estate lady truly, is trying to turn it around on them and just say that they just didn't want to pay, when that is not the case. They did not want to pay because of a mold issue, because of mice that they were finding running across their kitchen, the numerous amounts of bugs getting into our apartments. And I have photographic evidence of all of this. So that really helps their case. It also helps prove that this is not a tenant issue. They're not causing these issues. This is just here in this building. So between that and, of course, as everyone knows, the rising prices of everything. So trying to combat all of these things. Really, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. The food budget is cut. It is extremely low, if there's any. Other bills have gone ahead of it. We are utilizing food banks, mobile food pantries, churches, things of that nature. When we do the block parties, we make sure to attend. Things like that, because it is an activity for the kids. It is a meal outside of the home that does not cost us anything. So y'all make sure that you're utilizing your resources. But honestly, what I want from this, what I'm really trying to bring awareness to is, I get that everything has gone up in price. But to pay almost $2,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment that is riddled with mold, bugs, owners that just won't take care of it, to the point that we are doing more to take care of this property or building than they are, it's really disheartening. To watch my husband work as hard as he does to make sure that these bills get paid on time. And then to have to deal with this. Not to mention, my husband and I are also dealing with health issues due to this. Breathing has gotten raspy. Constantly trying to clear our throats. My husband at this point, every morning, he doesn't have to cough at all. His lungs are expelling globs of, y'all, if you don't want to hear this, please fast forward 10, 20 seconds. Almost like little gray Orbeez that look like they're full of mold. My husband does not smoke. I don't know at this point. So yeah, it's really hard, especially since I have asthma. It definitely does take a toll. Excuse you, baby. It definitely does take a toll. As you can tell, we are all coughing. We're all clearing our throats. And some days the amount of cleaning that I do and just being with the kids. All of those things, like making sure they get fed, bathed, they do their schoolwork for their homeschool, that the house gets cleaned up, that dishes get done. All of these things, and cleaning up this mold every day and taking care of bugs every day, it is an everyday task. And it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. I have been having migraines for the last few months. I've never had migraines in my life. The last few months, especially yesterday. I was going to record this yesterday, actually. And I couldn't. I could not hardly bear to stand up and walk, let alone sit up. My head was throbbing so bad. I genuinely thought my head was just going to, like, explode. I did end up taking over-the-counter meds for it to try to combat it. It did not fully help. It was rough yesterday, but we're all kind of going through it. And I really appreciate any and all of you that stick by our side, that help us. Thank you, buddy. Things that pray for us. We know that everyone else is struggling too, and our prayers go out to you. To anyone in this situation, please know that you're not alone. And at first I was scared to kind of argue with them. I was, because I am entirely blessed to even have a roof over my head for my kids and I and my husband. And I am grateful for that. And I didn't want anyone to think I wasn't. But when your husband, when you work this hard to pay these bills on time, and it is a struggle the way it is, no one should have to go through this. This should be a requirement by law that they have to take care of. This is not our building. This is their building. And I feel like, personally, to continue to be able to rent it out to tenants, I think that this should have to be taken care of. I really do. Especially if you're going to charge the amount that you are. I also don't think that you should be able to say that it's remodeled when it just has some new appliances. By all means, claim what you put in that is new, but I don't think that it should be claimed that it is newly renovated, remodeled, when it is not. So, yeah, I just wanted to give y'all that update. I'm still cooking from scratch. I'm still doing all the cleaning. Some days mentally it's a lot to get the camera out when I'm constantly finding more and more of these issues. And I'm going to be totally honest, sometimes it is kind of coming across some of these things while I am recording for you guys and it catching my genuine reaction. Sometimes is embarrassing. It is, because I feel like sometimes people can think that you don't clean, that you're not trying, and that is the furthest thing from what we're doing. At this point, we have considered taking them to court ourselves. We just don't have the money. With other bills, I mean, for example, like the food bill being so tight, we just don't have the extra hundreds of dollars that representation would want. I would like to say that I have done my fair. That's what I've been doing a lot of this time that I'm not on here. Researching. Becoming my own law student within myself. Not actually, but it feels like it for sure. It definitely feels like I joined law school. Creating professional arguments when my temper just wants to snap. It takes a lot of patience, and sometimes an email can take me 2 days to write because I get that frustrated with the fact that people are so greedy over money, but they want to turn it around on you or try to act like they didn't know that their building or facility, whatever, didn't have these issues when we know 100% that they did know. There's no way that you remodeled and you didn't know. Again, the landlord can say, well, you have curtains over these windows or whatever. We didn't have these curtains on for 3 months when we moved in. 3 months. And this was an issue that had begun before that. The reason that these curtains went up at that point was because we had people into our windows. The bathroom window is visible from all carports. There's no getting in the shower, getting out of the shower, going to the bath without being seen. How embarrassing. So yes, when we take a shower, I do put a piece of cardboard over that window. Because no. We're not allowed to do damage to the walls. We were not given curtain rods or blinds. All the other apartments they came with them. Ours did not. Neither did our neighbors or the guy upstairs or the guy above those neighbors. So when I had mentioned this, like, hey, then we need curtain rod hooks in if you want me to change this, because I can't drill into the wall, I'm not paying that fee. We were told it was our responsibility. At which point they're going to charge us that fee for damaging the walls. No, absolutely not. Their AC unit does not provide the accurate air that is required to circulate through this house. So neither one of the bedrooms nor the bathroom actually get ventilation. So like I had stated, all of these windows are open almost 24/7. They do shut when we go to sleep. We do have break-ins in the area, so this does kind of concern me. But at the same time, I can't not be ventilating. The landlord at this point, the real estate lady, has told us it's our job to ventilate and purchase extra fans, 2 or 3 to be exact. I don't know if y'all know what a fan runs. I'm not purchasing it. It is not in my budget. So yeah, I'm so frustrated, y'all. I have been praying and praying and praying on this. I didn't want to share this story. We are months in the making of this story. But y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I had a little bit of fear to share this story. It's why I'm not sharing the names of them yet. But yeah, the fear of what they're doing to these people because they did withhold their rent is why we didn't withhold our rent. Do we want to be paying them for these conditions? No, absolutely not. We have considered putting it in a Michigan escrow account for them. They could still take us to court. At which point, that would be our fees to pay. It's not in the budget. So, at this point, we are praying. We are looking for something else, but until we have that deposit back, that's not really a possibility. So yeah, we have cut every bill we can down to what we can. But yeah, so y'all, if you don't follow me on all platforms, please go do so. We are highly on TikTok and YouTube. I am trying to get that Instagram and Facebook up and running more smoothly. We are not posting regularly over there. We do post regularly here and TikTok. We did take that short break to just kind of pray, sit with God on this, because I didn't really know what to do. But something keeps telling me to share our story, and maybe it'll help somebody else. Maybe it'll change something. I don't know. Again, it might not change anything, and that's fine. But I did want to come on here and share our story because they are jacking prices sky high. And there are things to be watching out for so that you can avoid the situation that we have put ourselves into. It was a lot harder because they did remodel. They painted over everything very well. However, very, very quickly within the first month or so, all that paint started to peel. And at that point, you're tied into a lease. So, please, 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 pay attention to the door frames, the windowsills. Open up the windows. Look inside of that frame. Where the windowsill meets the window or the wall, double check it. Make sure there's no speckles. Make sure it's not fuzzy. Make sure it's not growing anything. Y'all, there's so many things that have gone wrong. That at this point, all of our health is in question. And we're kind of at a loss. We're trying to just stick it out the best that we can, but the more sick that we get, we are looking for other options. It's just, we can't pay the rent here and somewhere else. It's just, that's not doable. So yeah, if anyone has any recommendations, any advice, please let me know. All the stuff is in the link section, my email, all that. Yeah, we're not asking for money. Nothing like that. Just please pray for us. Share this story with someone. I really want people to know that they're not alone in this. That it is scary to fight the big man. And that's fine. But at this point, we're going to. And yeah, y'all have been so supportive to us and our family. And I can't thank y'all enough for that. Y'all have completely turned our lives around as far as support and just people that care. And we greatly, greatly appreciate that from every one of you. Those of you that sit and watch our videos, that share us out, that hit that like, follow, subscribe, whatever, we greatly appreciate you. I do not get paid off of YouTube, just so everyone is very aware. I don't make money off these videos, at least not yet. I'm trying to become monetized. But yeah, so please share this story out with someone that you know. I know it was a really long video and I'm so sorry. I appreciate y'all sticking it out. Bye. Join us next time. Be blessed.